one more thing related to visual output, which I'd also like to talk about in a bit, is the topic of information visualization in general. This has its own separate lecture. I'll just want to briefly mention why this is important also for mobile devices, because we have a very high information density on a mobile device. They usually have something like full HD resolution now in a 5-inch screen. So we can display a huge amount of information, but of course it won't work to just take a desktop interface, even if it has the same resolution, and put it on the mobile device. So we need to somehow deal with this limited screen space. And one example solution that's coming from the information visualization context is called focus and context. This is also something you can actually see quite a lot in regular mobile applications. The idea is that you always have two corresponding views at the same time. One is the focus that shows you detail for a specific region, and one is the overview that gives you a larger context. So here's one example from Google Maps. Here you have the focus area, which shows a detailed view. And here you have the context area that gives you a larger scale overview. This is also sometimes called world in miniature. So here's the world in miniature, and here's the detailed view. And another approach is to use so-called lenses, so that you can really imagine like a lens through which you're looking at a larger map. And here's different variants of these lenses that give you a close-up view of a smaller area of the map, and the context, the overview is just the surrounding area. Quick question, why do you think this is not something you're seeing on Google Maps on a smartphone anymore? None of these. Does anybody have an idea why? Yeah?
Maybe because the fingers are taking up too much space. Like if you would try to navigate on such a small map, you couldn't really see it.
That's a good example. And maybe one other thing, and maybe they are both part of the answer, is that it's actually very easy now on a mobile device, and very common very common knowledge for all people, that you can quickly just zoom out to get an overview and zoom back in to get a detailed view. So you can very quickly switch between the two, and it's maybe for that reason it's not considered necessary anymore to have both at the same time. But if you have something other than a map, then this combined focus and context view is often still a good idea. Another example related to that, which I find a very nice project from actually quite a few years ago already. These are called Halo and Wedge, and the idea now here is that if you have a number of search results on a map, how can you visualize those search results that are not on the screen? And Halo does it with these little circles basically, and Wedge with these arrow ends, so to say. So here, this is also focus and context in a sense. The map view itself is the focus now, which shows you a detailed view of a specific area. And these halos or wedges are the context that gives you an overview over what's beyond the focus area. And here you can see how this is supposed to work. So the farther away you are from that target on the side of the screen, the larger this halo will get, or the corresponding wedge will get. And so this is, I think, a very nice technique. Also, again, it's something we're not seeing in Google Maps, for example, because on the one hand, it will probably, if you have a lot of search results, then the border of the screen will at some point get very cluttered, of course. And also, again, because it's so easy to zoom out maybe. But for specific application scenarios, this might still be a very, very nice technique to use to actually convey to the user what's happening off the screen. All right, so much for visual output. Are there any questions?
For the VR,
Yeah.
because there is a good example how the advancements have been better devices, better frame rate, better image enablement. The FOV, the field of view is still very narrow though. Like it's usually this. Why is that?
Well, this is still kind of depending on the optics. So if you have...
But it's still usually like even the best devices, it's just like over here, it doesn't cover all the that the eyes.
I think this is a trade-off between being able to use very simple optics. And so if you want to get a really large field of view, then you would need to use more expensive lenses, larger lenses, and probably also a larger screen. And so for most virtual reality devices, even those with built-in screens, it's kind of a trade-off between where can you, like, at what price can you still get cheap displays, like the ones from a tablet or something, because I think the first Oculus prototype actually just used a tablet screen, a regular tablet screen. And so, yeah, you would probably, I think it's actually mostly the optics. So you would need much more expensive optics, and the optics would get more complex if you really want like 180 degrees of field of view. So the best thing you can get now, I think, is something like 110 degrees or something, which is maybe like this. This is kind of the sweet spot probably, where it's still not too expensive, but acceptable for most people, I guess.